Hi, I'm Dolly Orlev, and this is a video on Tisha B'Av for the Jewish Healing Network, Mind, Body, and Soul Global Wellness Community. The Living Blueprint. Why our tears on Tisha B'Av, the ninth of Av, our cry of hope, not despair. In the natural law of grief, the sages decreed, it said, it is decreed that the dead be forgotten from the heart. God, in his infinite wisdom, knows with time designed human nature to eventually find consolation that life can go on. I know my father, after my mother passed away, says life is for the living. However, the 2,000 years anomaly, the sages state, is decreed that the dead be forgotten from the heart. Our ongoing grief for a lost glory over 2,000 years later defines the natural order and is sustained by tremendous hope for revival and rectification. For 2,000 years, according to the natural order, we should have long ago set aside the past and found consolation. If the Beit HaMikdash is truly dead, where do we find the strength to continue mourning and weeping? In the night of the spies, this destruction was not the first calamity to befall our people on the ninth of Av. Generations earlier, the tragic date was sealed in the wilderness. The entire assembly rose up and issued its voice, and the nation cried that night of the Chet HaMeraglim, the night of the spies. It was a weeping of despair, a disbelief. They had disregarded God's promise of a land flowing of milk and honey, even heresy, believing that the Holy Land was a land that devours its inhabitants. Hopelessness, fear of conquest by giants and mighty warriors, and feeling they would be able to conquer. In the Gemara, in the tractate Tanit 29, Rabbi Yochanan said, Hashem said, you wept for no reason. I will establish for you a weeping for generations. And so it was. Destruction of the first Beit HaMikdash, destruction of the second Beit HaMikdash in Tisha B'Av, the fall of Beitar, Tisha B'Av, and the Spanish expulsion that started on Tisha B'Av. Many tragedies in our history. But in his infinite mercy, not vengeance, initial weeping caused a profound damage, injecting a venom of despair deep inside the nation's heart. But God's decrees are not vengeful. The ensuing tragedies are mechanisms of infinite mercy designed to rectify and eradicate that original sin. So the weeping of the spies then was the first weeping was of emotion was despair and hopelessness. And the action was disbelief in God's promise. And the result in planting venom in the heart of the nation. However, our weeping today shows an emotion of tremendous hope, an action, a weeping of perfect faith, and result of weeping of rectification to heal the venom, that poison in our hearts. And we're reaching a deeper place now. Our job today is to uproot the despair that was lodged in our hearts during that great crisis of faith. We continue to weep on the same day, but this time the tears travel backward to heal the venom of that very first night. The answer of the paradox is why hasn't the natural law of grief dulled our memory over 2,000 years? Because we're not mourning something dead. We cannot inevitably forget something that is still alive, like we have in the Breshit, in the story of Yaakov, who didn't stop mourning Yosef because he was still alive. He knew in his neshama he was still alive, therefore he couldn't be consoled. So we have that in our Torah. Because alive in our hearts, we are mourning something, not mourning something dead that is inevitably forgotten, nor are we grieving for some long forgotten memory. The Beit HaMikdash is fresh and alive in our hearts and our minds. We have the refusal to resign ourselves. For this reason, we can never resign ourselves to our loss. We will not start mourning until the light of the Jewish people and our holy temple shines anew. Our tears are an act of spiritual defiance against the darkness. We are anticipating the revival. We are echoing Yoshua and Caleb who said, the land is very, very good. If God desires us, he will bring us to the land and he will give it to us. Our modern tears are a declaration of this exact faith. We still believe and hope and anticipate our revival. So our tears are tears of hope. The Beit HaMikdash will once again be built. Our splendor and holiness will once again be rebuilt. Hashem will rebuild for us our Beit HaMikdash. So this year, realize your tears are tears of hope for the Beit HaMikdash to be rebuilt. Ken Yeretson.